He walked right past her. The woman his mother had chosen. The woman who'd flown in from Seoul specifically to meet him. The woman currently sitting at table 7 in the most expensive restaurant in Manhattan, wearing a dress that cost more than most people's rent, and he didn't even glance her way. Marcus Kim stopped mid-stride because a waitress with tired eyes and flour on her cheek just laughed at something the chef said through the kitchen window, and that sound hit him like lightning. If you've ever wondered what happens when destiny interrupts a perfectly planned life, stay till the end, because this story will wreck you in the best way. Marcus was 29, heir to Kim Industries, the third largest commercial real estate empire on the East Coast, and he'd been dodging his mother's matchmaking attempts for exactly 7 years. But this time she'd been relentless. Sophia Choi, his mother had said over breakfast last week, sliding a folder across the table like they were negotiating a merger, which, honestly, they were. Yale graduate. Speaks 4 languages. Her family owns half the luxury hotels in Asia. You're meeting her Friday at Celestine. 7 p.m. Don't embarrass me. And Marcus had agreed because fighting his mother was like fighting a tsunami. You could try, but you'd lose. And now here he was, 15 minutes late on purpose, walking through Celestine's polished interior with its crystal chandeliers and orchestra playing something classical and expensive, past table 7, where Sophia Choi sat checking her phone with the kind of bored elegance that came from a lifetime of expensive waiting. And he should have stopped, should have smiled, should have played his part. But then he heard it. That laugh. Pure and unexpected and completely out of place in this temple of careful sophistication. Marcus turned toward the sound and saw her. A black woman, maybe 26, in the standard white shirt and black apron that Celestine required, balancing 3 plates like she'd done it 1,000 times, her natural hair pulled into a puff at the crown of her head, a smudge of something, flour maybe or powdered sugar, on her left cheekbone that she hadn't noticed. And she was laughing at whatever the head chef Pierre was saying through the kitchen pass, her whole face transforming with joy, and Marcus forgot every rule he'd ever learned about appropriate behavior. He walked toward her instead of his date, actually changed direction mid-floor. His assistant Daniel, trailing 3 steps behind, made a choking sound. "Mr. Kim," Daniel whispered urgently. "Your table is—" "I know where my table is," Marcus said, not taking his eyes off the waitress who'd just turned and nearly collided with his chest. She stumbled. He caught her elbow. The plates didn't even wobble. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she said, and her voice was warm like summer, touched with something that sounded like California, maybe Southern. "I wasn't looking where I was." Then she actually looked at him and stopped talking. Just stared. And Marcus realized he was still holding her elbow, and they were standing in the middle of Celestine's main dining room, while 100 wealthy people pretended not to watch, and he didn't care, even a little bit. "You have flour on your face," he said, which was possibly the stupidest thing he'd ever said to anyone. She blinked, touched her cheek, smeared the flour worse, and laughed again, that same sound that had stopped him in the first place. "Hazard of sneaking samples from the pastry station," she admitted. "Don't tell Pierre." "Your secret's safe," Marcus said, and he was smiling, actually smiling, something he hadn't done in months. "I'm Marcus. I know who you are," she said, and there was something careful in her voice now, that laugh fading into professionalism. "Mr. Kim, your table is ready. Table 7. I can show you." "What's your name?" he interrupted. She hesitated, glanced toward table 7 where Sophia Choi was definitely watching now, her expression unreadable. Glanced back at Marcus. "Sienna," she said finally. "Sienna. Brooks. And you're very late for your date." "I know," Marcus said. "Do you work every Friday?" The question surprised them both. Sienna's eyes widened. "That's a weird thing to ask someone you just met. Is it weirder than stopping a stranger in a restaurant because her laugh made you forget how to breathe?" Marcus asked, and he watched color rise in Sienna's cheeks, watched her try to hide a smile. "Maybe equally weird," she allowed. "I work Tuesday through Saturday. Lunch and dinner." "Good to know," Marcus said. Across the room, his mother's chosen perfect match stood up, chair scraping expensive marble, grabbed her Hermes bag, and walked out of Celestine without looking back. Daniel made another strangled sound. Marcus didn't turn around. You just got stood up, Sienna observed. Looks like it, Marcus agreed. Guess I'll need a table for one. We're fully booked, Sienna said, but she was fighting a smile now. Unless you want to sit at the bar. Perfect, Marcus said. What he didn't know was that Sienna Brooks had exactly 2 months left in New York before her visa expired, and she'd have to return to California. What he didn't know was that his mother was already making phone calls. What neither of them knew was that one laugh would become everything. But they were about to find out. The bar at Celestine wasn't designed for eating. It was designed for rich men drinking expensive scotch while complaining about their stock portfolios. But Marcus sat there anyway on a velvet stool that cost more than Sienna's monthly rent, and he ordered the tasting menu, all 12 courses, just so she'd have to keep coming back. You're creating extra work for yourself, Sienna said when she brought the first course, some tiny perfect thing involving scallops and edible flowers. You could have just asked for my number like a normal person. Would you have given it to me? Marcus asked. Sienna set down the plate, considered him with those intelligent eyes that missed nothing. No, she said honestly. Probably not. Then I made the right choice, Marcus said, and he watched her try not to smile as she walked away. Course 2 arrived. Then 3. Between each one, Marcus asked her questions. Small things. Where she was from. What brought her to New York. How long she'd been at Celestine. And Sienna answered while she worked, while she served other tables, while she refilled water glasses and cleared plates, answering in fragments that Marcus pieced together like a puzzle. She was from San Diego originally. Moved to New York 3 years ago for culinary school. Celestine was supposed to be temporary, just until she saved enough to open her own bakery. But New York was expensive and dreams cost money, and temporary had a way of becoming permanent. What kind of bakery? Marcus asked during course 7. The kind that makes things that actually taste good instead of just looking pretty, Sienna said, and there was passion in her voice now, real heat. Peach cobbler like my grandmother made. Banana pudding that'll make you cry. Sweet potato pie that tastes like home. Food with soul, not just Instagram likes. Marcus set down his fork. When do I get to try it? When I stop working 80 hours a week and actually have time to bake, Sienna said, but she was smiling. So never. That's unacceptable, Marcus said. The world needs your banana pudding. The world will survive, Sienna said, but her eyes were soft now, surprised maybe that he'd actually listened, actually remembered. Course 9. Course 10. The restaurant was starting to empty, late diners paying checks and calling cars, but Marcus stayed, ordering coffee he didn't want, asking for the dessert menu twice, anything to keep her there. We close in 20 minutes, Sienna finally said, and she sounded almost regretful. You're going to have to leave eventually. What time do you get off? Marcus asked. Midnight, Sienna said. And before you offer to wait, don't. I take the subway home. I live in Queens. You live in... She gestured vaguely at his Tom Ford suit, his Rolex, everything about him that screamed money. Not Queens. Tribeca, Marcus admitted. Penthouse. Doorman. Everything you're imagining. See? Sienna said. Different worlds. But she said it gently, without judgment, just stating facts. And Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to say that worlds could collide, that different didn't mean impossible, but his phone had been vibrating in his pocket for the last hour, and he finally pulled it out and saw 17 missed calls from his mother. You need to take that, Sienna observed. I really don't, Marcus said, but he was already standing, already pulling out his wallet. He left a tip that made Sienna's eyes go wide. That's too much, she said. It's correct, Marcus corrected. For making me laugh. For answering my questions. For not pretending to be impressed. Who says I'm not impressed? Sienna asked. You walked past your date for me. That's either really romantic or really rude, and I haven't decided which. Can it be both? Marcus asked, and Sienna laughed again, that sound he was already addicted to. He left Celestine and walked 3 blocks before calling his mother back. She answered on the first ring. "You humiliated Sophia," his mother said. No greeting, just accusation. "You humiliated me." She flew from Seoul, Marcus. Her family is furious. "She left before we even spoke," Marcus said. "Maybe she wasn't that interested either." "Because you were flirting with staff," his mother said, and her voice could freeze oceans. "I have video, Marcus. One of the other guests sent it to me. You, standing in the middle of Celestine, holding some waitress's arm, smiling like an idiot." "Her name is Sienna," Marcus said. "I don't care if her name is Cleopatra," his mother snapped. "This is unacceptable. We had an understanding. You meet suitable women. You choose one. You settle down. You stop embarrassing this family." "I never agreed to that," Marcus said quietly. "You decided that. Not me." Silence. Cold and heavy. "Come to brunch tomorrow," his mother finally said. "We need to discuss your future." She hung up before he could refuse. Marcus stood on a Manhattan sidewalk at 11 p.m., watching taxis blur past, and pulled up Celestine's website. Found their reservation system. Booked a table for 1. Tuesday night. Same time. If his mother wanted to discuss his future, fine. But his future had just laughed at him in a restaurant, and he wasn't letting that go without a fight. What Marcus didn't know was that Sienna went home that night and told her roommate Jasmine everything. Told her about the man who'd walked past his date. Told her about questions that felt like he actually cared about the answers, and Jasmine had looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "Girl," Jasmine said, "rich men don't fall for waitresses. They collect us like trophies and throw us away when they're bored. Don't do this to yourself." And Sienna wanted to argue, wanted to say this felt different, but she'd been in New York long enough to know that different didn't mean safe. Still, when she fell asleep, she dreamed of a man with kind eyes asking about her banana pudding like it mattered. Like she mattered. Tuesday was coming, and neither of them was ready. Marcus's mother lived in a penthouse on the Upper East Side that felt more like a museum than a home. Everything white, everything expensive, everything curated to prove wealth without warmth. Sunday brunch was already set when Marcus arrived. His younger sister Hannah was there, looking trapped. His Aunt Mina, sipping tea with perfect posture. And his mother, presiding over the table like a queen holding court. "You're late," his mother observed. "Traffic," Marcus lied, taking his seat. "Let's discuss Friday," his mother said, because small talk was for people who had time to waste. "Sophia's family is understandably upset. I've apologized profusely. Sent gifts. But the damage is done, Marcus. Do you understand what you've cost us? What opportunities you've destroyed with your childish behavior?" "I didn't want to marry her," Marcus said simply. "Want?" his mother repeated, like the word was foreign. "This isn't about want. This is about legacy, about family, about maintaining our position." "Our position is fine," Marcus said. "Kim Industries is profitable. I've increased revenue by 30% in 2 years. The business is secure." "The business is one part," his Aunt Mina interjected gently. "But family connections matter, Marcus. Marriage alliances matter. This is how our world works." "Maybe our world is wrong," Marcus said, and Hannah kicked him under the table in warning, but he was done pretending. His mother set down her teacup with careful precision. "Who is she?" "What?" Marcus asked. "The waitress," his mother said. "I had her investigated. Sienna Brooks, 26, culinary school dropout, working at Celestine while her visa expires in 2 months. No family money. No connections. Nothing that would benefit this family. So tell me, Marcus, what exactly do you see in her?" The fact that his mother had already run a background check should have surprised Marcus, but it didn't. This was how she operated. Knowledge was power. Control was everything. "I see someone real," Marcus said quietly. "Someone who laughed because she was happy, not because it was strategic. Someone who didn't look at me and see Kim Industries or dollar signs or a stepping stone to something better. Just me." "How touching," his mother said, and her tone could cut glass. "And when her visa expires and she returns to California, what then? You follow her. Abandon everything we've built? Or you bring her back, Watch her struggle in a world she doesn't understand. Watch her resent you for the pressure. Watch it all fall apart. You don't know that would happen, Marcus said. I know our world destroys people who don't belong in it, his mother said. And for just a second, something that looked almost like pain flickered across her face. I've seen it happen. I won't watch it happen to you. Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to fight, but his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Sienna. Pierre gave me your number. Hope that's okay. Just wanted to say thanks for last night. You made a really boring shift interesting. See you around maybe. Marcus stared at the message, at those casual words that felt like everything, and smiled despite himself. You're texting her at brunch, his mother observed. Unbelievable. I'm leaving, Marcus said, standing. Marcus, Hannah said quietly. Don't. But he was already walking toward the door, already typing back. Definitely see you around. How's Tuesday? He didn't see his mother's expression crack. Didn't see the way she closed her eyes like she was watching history repeat itself. Didn't know that 25 years ago, she'd fallen for someone unsuitable too. Someone her parents had destroyed so thoroughly that she'd learned to destroy her own heart first before anyone else could. But Hannah saw, and Hannah would remember. Marcus spent Sunday afternoon doing something he never did. He researched visa laws, immigration lawyers, options for extending work permits. And the more he read, the more impossible it seemed. Sienna had 2 months, maybe 3 if she filed extensions. But without a job, sponsorship, or a marriage, she'd have to leave. Marriage. The word stuck in his head like a hook. Tuesday arrived. Marcus showed up at Celestine at 7 p.m. exactly, and Sienna's face when she saw him was worth every disapproving look his mother had given him. You came back, she said, and she sounded genuinely surprised. I said I would, Marcus said. People say a lot of things, Sienna said, but she was smiling. Table for one again. Unless you'd rather join me after your shift, Marcus suggested. Sienna hesitated, glanced around the restaurant like she was checking for witnesses. I don't date customers, she said. Good policy, Marcus agreed. What about former customers? I could switch to the bistro down the street. Sienna laughed, shook her head. Your trouble. Is that a yes? Marcus asked. That's a maybe, Sienna said. Ask me again at midnight. So Marcus ordered dinner and waited. And at midnight, when Sienna's shift ended, she came out in jeans and a sweater that had seen better days, her hair loose now, falling past her shoulders, and she looked tired and beautiful and real. Still want company? She asked. Always, Marcus said. They walked through Manhattan at 12:30 a.m., and the city felt different at night, quieter somehow despite the traffic, more honest. Sienna took him to a diner in Hell's Kitchen that served breakfast 24 hours and had booths with cracked vinyl and coffee that tasted like it had been made during the previous administration. This is perfect, Marcus said, meaning it. This is real, Sienna corrected. No pretense, no performance, just food. They talked until 3 a.m. about everything and nothing. Marcus told her about the weight of expectations, about building his father's legacy while trying to figure out his own. Sienna told him about her grandmother's kitchen in San Diego, about learning to bake before she could read, about the dream of creating something that mattered. 2 months, she said finally, and her voice went quiet. That's all I have left. My visa expires March 15th. And unless something changes, I'm going home. Marcus reached across the table, took her hand. What if something changes? Like what? Sienna asked. Like me, Marcus said. Like us. Like this thing that's happening that I can't explain, but I don't want to stop. Sienna pulled her hand back gently. Marcus, you're sweet. You're probably the most decent rich guy I've ever met. But I've seen how this goes. You're interested now because I'm different, because I'm not what you're used to. But eventually you'll get bored. Or your family will intervene. Or reality will hit. And I'll be the one left broken. You don't know that, Marcus said. I know different worlds don't mix, Sienna said. I know fairy tales end. I know better than to believe in this. But she said it while looking at him with eyes that wanted to believe anyway. And Marcus realized that he had 8 weeks to prove her wrong. Marcus started showing up everywhere. Not just Celestine, though he came there too, Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday, becoming such a regular that Pierre started plating his food with extra care, and the sommelier knew his preferences before he asked. But also at the farmer's market in Union Square, where Sienna went Sunday mornings to dream about ingredients she couldn't afford, at the bookstore in Greenwich Village where she spent her one afternoon off reading cookbooks she'd never buy, at the bakery supply shop in Brooklyn where she pressed her face against the window like a kid at Christmas. "Are you following me?" Sienna asked the third time he coincidentally appeared. "Yes," Marcus said honestly. "Is it working?" "That depends," Sienna said, "on what your goal is." "Spending time with you," Marcus said. "Proving I'm not going anywhere. Showing you that this is real." "This is crazy," Sienna said, but she was smiling. "You barely know me." "Then let me know you better," Marcus said. So she did. She let him walk her home through Queens at 1 a.m. and didn't complain when he insisted on making sure she got inside safely. She let him sit at the counter of the tiny shared kitchen in her apartment while she baked test recipes for the bakery that existed only in her dreams. Let him taste lemon bars and red velvet cupcakes and something she called honey lavender magic that made him close his eyes with pleasure. She let him meet Jasmine, her roommate and best friend, who looked at Marcus like he was a bomb about to explode, but couldn't quite hide her approval when he washed dishes without being asked, and laughed at Jasmine's jokes about rich people like he was in on it instead of the target. "He's not what I expected," Jasmine admitted later after Marcus left. "Still don't trust it," Sienna said. But he shows up," Sienna said quietly. "Every time he says he will, he shows up. That's not nothing." Meanwhile, Marcus's mother was escalating. She started scheduling meetings during times she knew he'd planned to see Sienna. Started introducing him to suitable women at charity events and business dinners. Started making pointed comments about responsibility and duty and the cost of selfishness. "You're seeing her," his mother said one evening in his office, not a question. "Her name is Sienna," Marcus said. "And yes, it needs to stop," his mother said. "Before someone gets hurt. Before this becomes a scandal. Before you destroy everything for someone who's leaving in 6 weeks anyway." "What if she doesn't leave?" Marcus asked. His mother's expression went cold. "You can't possibly be thinking of marrying her." Marcus didn't answer, which was answer enough. "Marcus," his mother said, and her voice shook with something that might have been fear or fury or both. "Listen to me very carefully. I know what it feels like to believe love conquers all. I know what it's like to want something impossible, and I know exactly how that story ends. With broken hearts and ruined lives and regrets that never fade. Don't make my mistakes." "What mistakes?" Marcus asked, because his mother never talked about her past, never mentioned the time before she became Mrs. Kim, perfect and polished and cold. "It doesn't matter," his mother said, shuddering closed again. "What matters is that you end this before it ends you." But Marcus was already planning something else. He'd found an immigration lawyer. Discovered that business sponsorship could extend Sienna's visa if she had a legitimate job offer. And Marcus owned enough properties, enough businesses, enough connections to make that happen. He just had to convince Sienna to accept help, which turned out to be harder than he expected. "Absolutely not," Sienna said when he brought it up over midnight diner coffee. "I'm not taking a fake job from you." "It wouldn't be fake," Marcus argued. "I'm opening a cafe in the Tribeca building I just renovated. It needs a pastry chef. You're qualified. It's legitimate. It's charity," Sienna said. "It's you creating a position that doesn't exist just to keep me in the country. That's not how I want to stay, Marcus. That's not who I am." "Then what's your plan?" Marcus asked, and he hated how desperate he sounded. "Let the visa expire? Go back to California? Give up on us before we even start?" "There is no us," Sienna said, and the words hit like bullets. "There's you being fascinated by someone different, and me being stupid enough to enjoy it. But it's not real, Marcus." "It can't be. It feels pretty real to me," Marcus said. "Feelings aren't enough," Sienna said, and her eyes were wet now. "Not in your world. Not with your family. Not when every single thing about our lives is incompatible." She left the diner before Marcus could argue, and he sat there until dawn trying to figure out how to fix something that maybe couldn't be fixed. 4 weeks left, then 3. They still saw each other, but something had shifted, become more precious and more painful, like they were both counting down to an ending they couldn't stop. Marcus's mother watched and waited. Sienna baked like her heart was breaking. And Hannah, Marcus's sister, finally broke her silence. "You love her," Hannah said, cornering Marcus in his office. "Not a question. Doesn't matter," Marcus said. "She won't let me help her. Won't accept that this could work." "Because she's smart," Hannah said. "She knows Mom will destroy her. She knows this world will eat her alive. She's protecting herself, Marcus. Can you really blame her?" "So what am I supposed to do?" Marcus asked. "Let her go? Pretend I never met her? Or fight?" Hannah said quietly. "Actually fight. Not with money or connections or job offers, but with truth. Tell her exactly what she means to you. Give her a reason to stay that isn't about visas or practicality, but about something real. And then let her choose." 2 weeks left. Marcus invited Sienna to meet him at an address he sent via text. Not Celestine. Not the diner. Somewhere new. She showed up suspicious and found herself at a small commercial space in Brooklyn, empty except for industrial ovens and marble countertops and everything you'd need to run a professional bakery. "What is this?" Sienna asked. "Yours," Marcus said. "If you want it. Not as a job. Not as charity. As an investment. I believe in your dream, Sienna. I believe you'll build something extraordinary. Let me help you start." Sienna walked through the space with tears streaming down her face, touching counters like they might disappear, and Marcus had never seen anything more beautiful. "I can't accept this," she whispered. "It's too much." "It's not enough," Marcus said. "Nothing I could give you would be enough for what you've given me." "What have I given you?" Sienna asked. "Hope," Marcus said. "The belief that life could be something other than obligations and expectations. You made me laugh. You made me feel. You made me want to be better than the version of myself I'd resigned to being. That's worth every dollar I have." Sienna turned to look at him, really look at him. "I'm falling for you," she admitted. "And it terrifies me." "I already fell," Marcus said. "The moment you laughed. And I'm not sorry." 10 days left before her visa expired. And everything was about to change. Marcus's mother found out about the bakery on a Wednesday. By Thursday, she'd scheduled an emergency family meeting. Friday morning, the lawyers showed up. "You cannot gift commercial property to a woman you've known for 2 months, his mother said, and her voice could freeze fire. "It's reckless. It's inappropriate. And it ends now." "It's my property," Marcus said quietly. "My decision. My life." "Your life affects this entire family," his mother countered. "Your choices have consequences beyond yourself. If you continue down this path, I'll have no choice but to invoke the clause." Marcus went still. The clause. The one in his father's will that said if Marcus proved unfit to lead with sound judgment, control of Kim Industries could be transferred to a board of trustees. His mother had never threatened it before. "You wouldn't," Marcus said. "Watch me," his mother said. "I will not stand by while you destroy everything your father built for someone who doesn't belong in our world. End it with the Waitress, or I end your position in this company." Hannah, who'd been silent until now, stood up. "Mom, this is too far. Stay out of this," their mother snapped. "No," Hannah said, and her voice was stronger than Marcus had ever heard it. "I'm not watching you do to Marcus what your parents did to you." The room went silent. Their mother's face drained of color. "What did you say?" "I found the letters," Hannah said. "Last year. In the storage unit. Letters from someone named James. Letters you never sent back. Letters that stopped the year you married Dad." Marcus stared at his sister, then his mother, watching decades of carefully maintained control crack. "That's none of your concern," his mother whispered. "It's ancient history. It's why you're so terrified," Hannah said gently. "You fell in love with someone your parents didn't approve of. Someone who wasn't Korean, wasn't wealthy, wasn't suitable. And they made you choose between him and your family, and you chose family, and it broke something in you that never healed. That's why you're doing this to Marcus. Because you couldn't have your happiness, so he can't either. Their mother sat down slowly, and for the first time in Marcus's life, she looked small. Fragile. He was a musician, she said finally. James. I met him at Columbia. He played jazz piano in a bar in Harlem. My parents found out and told me that if I continued seeing him, they'd cut me off entirely. No family. No money. No support. I was 22 and terrified, and I chose security over love. I married your father because he was appropriate. Because our families approved. Because it was safe. Did you love Dad? Marcus asked quietly. I learned to, his mother said. He was a good man. We built a good life. But not a day has gone by when I didn't wonder what if. When I didn't regret choosing fear over love. Then why are you making me do the same thing? Marcus asked. His mother looked at him with eyes that held 25 years of sorrow. Because I know how hard it is. I know the pressure. I know how our world crushes people who don't fit. And I don't want to watch you suffer the way I would have suffered if I'd chosen differently. But you don't know that, Marcus said. You don't know if choosing love would have been harder than choosing safety. You just know you didn't try. And that regret has been eating you alive for decades. I won't make the same choice, Mom. I can't. His mother was crying now, something Marcus had never seen. She'll leave you, his mother whispered. When the pressure gets too much, when our world becomes too hard, she'll leave. And you'll be destroyed. Maybe, Marcus said. Or maybe we'll build something different. Something better. But I'd rather try and fail than spend my life wondering what if. 7 days left. Sienna's visa would expire in exactly 1 week. Marcus went to the bakery space in Brooklyn where Sienna had been spending every free moment, planning and dreaming and measuring. I need to tell you something, Marcus said. Sienna turned from the counter. She'd been sketching layout plans on. Saw his face. What happened? My mother threatened to remove me from the company unless I end this, Marcus said. And I told her no. Marcus, Sienna breathed. You can't give up your entire life for me. I'm not giving it up, Marcus said. I'm choosing what I want it to be. There's a difference. Your family will adjust, Marcus interrupted. Or they won't. But either way, I'm not walking away from you. Not unless you want me to. Sienna closed her eyes. I'm leaving in 7 days. I know, Marcus said. So I have a question. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not a ring box. Something else. Sienna opened it and found a key. What is this? The bakery, Marcus said. Full ownership. Transferred to your name this morning. No strings. No conditions. It's yours, Sienna. Whether you stay or go, whether we work out or we don't, this is yours. Your dream. Your choice. I can't accept this, Sienna whispered, but she was holding the key like it was made of stars. You already have, Marcus said. The paperwork's done. The space is yours. The only question is what you do next. My visa will expire in 7 days, Marcus interrupted. Unless you marry me. The words hung in the air between them. Sienna's eyes went wide. That's not a proposal, Marcus said quickly. Not like that. I mean, it is, but not because of the visa. I'm asking because I love you, Sienna. Because you make me want to be better. Because your laugh is my favorite sound in the world. Because I'd rather build something real with you than inherit an empire alone. But I'm also practical enough to know that marrying me solves your visa problem. So I'm asking, not to trap you, not to manipulate you, but to give you a choice. Stay with me. Build your bakery. See where this goes. And if it doesn't work, if 6 months or a year from now you decide you made a mistake, we'll figure it out. But at least you'll have tried. At least we'll have tried. Sienna was crying now, tears streaming down her face. You don't have to save me, she said. I'm not trying to save you, Marcus said. I'm trying to love you. There's a difference. Your mother will never accept this, Sienna said. Probably not, Marcus agreed. But my sister will. And eventually, maybe Mom will too. Or maybe she won't. But I'd rather have you and lose her approval than have her approval and lose you. This is insane, Sienna said. Completely, Marcus agreed. So is that a yes? Sienna looked at the key in her hand. Looked at Marcus. looked at the bakery space that represented everything she'd ever wanted. Ask me properly, she said. So Marcus got down on one knee in an empty bakery in Brooklyn at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, and he asked, Sienna Brooks, will you marry me? Will you take a chance on this crazy impossible thing? Will you let me spend my life trying to deserve you? Yes, Sienna said. Yes, you absolute fool. Yes. And when he kissed her, it tasted like hope. They got married 3 days later at City Hall with Hannah as a witness and Jasmine crying in the corner and absolutely no one else, because they both agreed that keeping it small and simple felt right, felt real, felt like them instead of performing for an audience that didn't matter. Marcus wore the same suit he'd worn the night he met her. Sienna wore a white dress she found at a vintage shop in Soho for $60 and looked more beautiful than any designer gown could have made her. The officiant asked if they prepared vows. They hadn't. So Marcus just said, I promise to show up. Every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I promise to believe in your dreams as much as you do. I promise to never make you feel like you have to be smaller or quieter or different to fit into my life. I promise to build a life that fits both of us instead. Sienna smiled through tears. I promise to let you. I promise to trust this even when it scares me. I promise to keep laughing even on the hard days. I promise to make you banana pudding whenever you're sad. And I promise to choose you every single day for the rest of my life. They signed papers, exchanged simple gold bands that Marcus had bought that morning, kissed like the world was ending and beginning at the same time. And just like that, Sienna Brooks became Sienna Kim. Marcus's mother found out via lawyer notification because the marriage affected inheritance clauses. She called Marcus 27 times. He answered on the 28th. You married her, his mother said. Not a question. I did, Marcus confirmed. I see, his mother said, and her voice was ice. Then you've made your choice. Don't expect me to, Mom, Marcus interrupted gently. I love you. I know you're scared. I know you think this will end badly. But I'm asking you to trust me. Trust that I know what I'm doing. Trust that Sienna is extraordinary. Trust that maybe, just maybe, this could work. Silence. Long and heavy. I need time, his mother finally said. Take all the time you need, Marcus said. But we'll be here when you're ready. She hung up. It wasn't acceptance. But it wasn't disownment either. It was a start. Sienna's Bakery opened 2 months later. Sweet and soul, she called it. Southern desserts with a New York attitude. The line wrapped around the block on opening day. Food critics came and left in awe. The Michelin Guide took notice. Within 6 months, Sweet and Soul had a waiting list for their weekend brunch and a feature in Bon Appetit, and a reputation as the best bakery in Brooklyn, maybe in all of New York. Sienna hired staff, developed a wholesale program, started teaching baking classes to kids from the neighborhood because she remembered what it felt like to learn magic in her grandmother's kitchen, and she wanted to pass that forward. Marcus watched her thrive and felt prouder than anything he'd ever accomplished himself. Kim Industries kept running. Marcus kept leading. His mother kept her distance but stopped actively sabotaging, which was progress. Hannah became Sienna's ally and friend, shopping for vintage furniture for the apartment Sienna and Marcus bought in Park Slope, half teasing Marcus about how he'd gone soft, fully supporting every choice he made. 6 months after the wedding, Sienna woke up on a Sunday morning in their bedroom with sunlight streaming through windows and Marcus already awake beside her, watching her with that same intensity he'd had the night they met. What? She asked sleepily. Just thinking, Marcus said, about how I walked past my date and stopped for a waitress and changed my entire life. Regrets? Sienna asked. Not even one, Marcus said. You? Sienna thought about it. Thought about California and the life she'd left behind. Thought about the uncertainty and the fear and the risk of saying yes to something impossible. Thought about the bakery and the home and the man who'd promised to show up and had kept that promise every single day. Not even close, she said. They spent that Sunday doing absolutely nothing important. Ate breakfast in bed. Walked through Prospect Park. Bought flowers from a street vendor. Had dinner at the diner where Marcus had first told her he was falling. Normal things. Small things. Things that felt like forever. That night, Marcus's phone rang. His mother. He answered carefully. "I'd like to meet her," his mother said. "Properly. Not as the waitress you were infatuated with. As your wife. As family." Marcus looked at Sienna, eyebrows raised in question. Sienna nodded. "Sunday dinner," Marcus said. "Our place. We'll cook." "Sienna will cook, you mean?" his mother said, and there might have been the smallest hint of amusement in her voice. "She's teaching me," Marcus defended. "I can make exactly 2 things now." "How domestic," his mother said dryly. "I'll be there at 6. She hung up. "That was terrifying," Sienna said. "She's going to hate me in person." "She's going to try to hate you," Marcus corrected. "And then you'll make her your honey lavender magic cake, and she'll realize what I already know, that you're impossible not to love." Sunday dinner was tense at first. Marcus's mother arrived in designer everything. Perfect posture, perfect makeup, perfect control. She looked at the apartment that cost less than her monthly clothing budget. Looked at the mismatched furniture Sienna had collected from vintage shops. Looked at the life her son had chosen that was nothing like the one she'd planned. "Thank you for coming," Sienna said, and her voice didn't shake. "This means a lot to Marcus." "I didn't come for Marcus," his mother said. "I came to understand what he sees in you." "Mom," Marcus warned. "It's okay," Sienna said. She looked at Marcus's mother directly. "You want to know if I'm using him? If I married him for money or status or a visa? And I can't prove I didn't. All I can tell you is that I fell in love with a man who laughed at my bad jokes and asked about my dreams like they mattered and showed up every single time he promised he would. Not the heir to Kim Industries. Just Marcus. And I'd love him just as much if he worked at the diner where we had our first real conversation." Something shifted in his mother's expression. "James worked at a diner," she said quietly. "Before the jazz club. That's where I met him. I was studying late at the library and stopped for coffee at 2 a.m., and he was there with a philosophy textbook and the worst coffee I'd ever tasted, and we talked until sunrise. It was the most she'd ever shared." "Do you regret it?" Sienna asked gently, letting him go. "Every day," his mother admitted. "Every single day for 25 years. "Then why not find him?" Sienna asked. "Why not try again?" His mother smiled sadly. "Because some doors close and can't be reopened. Because too much time has passed. Because I'm not brave enough." "You're brave enough to be here," Sienna said. "That's something." They ate dinner. Sienna's cooking worked its magic. And by dessert, when the honey lavender cake came out, Marcus's mother took one bite and closed her eyes. "My grandmother made something similar," she said. "In Seoul. Before she immigrated. I haven't tasted anything like it in 40 years. I'll teach you the recipe," Sienna offered. "If you want." Marcus's mother looked at her for a long moment. "I'd like that." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't full acceptance. But it was a beginning. And sometimes beginnings were enough. 1 year after Marcus walked past his date and stopped for a Waitress, Sweet in Seoul opened its second location. Hannah threw them an anniversary party. Jasmine made a toast about how she'd been wrong and would never doubt Sienna's judgment again. Marcus's mother came and stayed the whole time and even smiled when Sienna's grandmother's peach cobbler recipe made grown men cry. And late that night, when everyone had left and Sienna and Marcus were cleaning up together in their kitchen, Sienna said, "I'm glad you stopped." "Me too," Marcus said. "Best decision I ever made." Walking past 50 women for a waitress with flour on her face? Walking toward you, Marcus corrected. Everything else was just details. Sienna kissed him and thought about destiny and choice and how sometimes the bravest thing you could do was believe in impossible things. Like love that crossed worlds. Like dreams that came true. Like a laugh that changed everything. And somewhere in Connecticut, Marcus's mother sat in her too big house and pulled out a box of letters she'd kept for 25 years. Letters from James. And for the first time, she let herself wonder if maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late. But that's another story. This one ends here, with a man who chose love over expectations, a woman who chose risk over safety, and a bakery full of soul that proved different worlds could collide and create something beautiful. If this story destroyed you in the best way, hit that like button. Subscribe for more romance that'll make you believe in destiny. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Was it the first laugh, the midnight diner, the bakery proposal, or the honey lavender cake that changed everything? And let me know what story you want next. Should we explore Hannah's secret romance or dive into what happens when Marcus's mother finds James again after 25 years? You decide. Thanks for being here, and remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop walking past and actually see someone. You never know whose heart you might steal. See you in the next one.